Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And Monday Night Raw tonight, of course, was from the Performance Center in Orlando. And before I start the review, there was very shocking, sad news that broke out earlier today. And apparently, this happened yesterday. This happened on Sunday, but by the time you guys are seeing this review, of course, it will be Tuesday. But news broke out today that on Sunday, former WWE superstar Shad Gaspard, of course, he was part of Crime Time along with JTG, if you all remember that tag team. They were very entertaining. They were a very entertaining tag team that I enjoyed when they were on, around 2008, 2009. But apparently, Shad Gaspard went missing, and he was with his son. He was with his 10-year-old son, and I guess they were at the beach, and him and his son were caught in a rip current. And the rip current was very strong. And according to reports, lifeguards who were at the beach, they raced into the water. They ended up pulling everyone out, including Shad's son. But Shad wasn't located. It said TMZ noted that officials are searching for Shad Gaspard, and they said the LA Fire Department believed Shad Gaspard did submerge in the water, and divers were sent to scour the area. Helicopters were, searching from above also. And also, there was more news that broke out earlier today because they sent out the U.S. Coast Guard. And so the U.S. Coast Guard were also searching for Shad Gaspard. But earlier today, the U.S. Coast Guard ended up calling off the search for Shad Gaspard. So, we don't know, if, he's passed away or is still out there, still alive. But, hopefully, he is okay. My thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Just very shocking, sad news. But hopefully, a miracle happens and, he's, still alive. But just thoughts and prayers go out to his family and also his friends, because this news just came out of nowhere. But hopefully there's a miracle and he comes out still alive. But anyways, getting into the Monday Night Raw review, tonight's show was just absolute garbage. It was like they took last week's show and then pasted for this week's show, because we had the same matches, two same matches that we saw last week. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the IIconics. Saw that last week. This week, the only thing that was different was the women's tag team titles were on the line. Shayna Baszler versus Natalya. We saw that last week. This week, the only difference was they put them in a submission match. WWE, once again, being lazy, as always. WWE Creative being fucking lazy. And we saw Edge and Randy Orton open the show. But all in all, garbage show tonight. Absolutely terrible show. Very boring. So let's jump right into the review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Charlie Caruso. Charlie Caruso was in the ring, and she ended up mentioning, Edge and Randy Orton. She ended up bringing out Randy Orton first. Orton ended up coming out. So Orton got on the mic. He ended up talking about his challenge to Edge at Backlash. And of course, Charlie Caruso ended up mentioning, Edge and Randy Orton at Backlash, this could be the greatest wrestling match of all time. And she said that last week, and she said it again this week. I'm like, who in WWE Creative is that fucking stupid to make Charlie Caruso say that once again? Edge and Randy Orton is not going to be the greatest wrestling match of all time. I don't know who in the hell in creative came up with that. And we are going to be possibly hearing that saying until Backlash. They're just want to say that so we could all make fun of it and be like, it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match of all time. Absolutely stupid. Awful. So yeah, Randy Orton was talking about his challenge to Edge for Backlash. He ended up asking why this challenge is so hard for people to understand. He ended up saying, this is World Wrestling Entertainment. Thank you, Randy Orton. I think we all know what WWE stands for. We all know what the company stands for. So thank you for saying that when we already know. It's like WWE thinks we're stupid and we don't even know what the whole name of the company is. And Randy Orton was like, that's what we do. We wrestle. No duh. No duh, Randy Orton. So he ended up going on about how him and Edge tore each other up at WrestleMania. And he ended up saying that Edge isn't the better wrestler. He ended up saying that he knows it and he plans to prove it. But he doesn't need tables, he doesn't need ladders, and he doesn't even need chairs to prove that. So Randy Orton went on and he before he faced the camera, and he was addressing Edge. And Orton ended up saying that he knows why Edge didn't accept his challenge last week. He ended up saying that he saw it all over his face and in his eyes. And that is doubt. So then Edge ended up coming out. And Edge got on the mic. And he ended up saying that Randy Orton spoke a lot of truths last week. He ended up saying that he knows Orton is playing chess, and he can't rush into his next move. He ended up saying that this is all a game to Randy Orton, and that it's also just a paycheck for him. And Edge was, getting heated. Both him and Randy Orton yelled at each other, and Orton ended up just wanting to know if Edge will accept the challenge. Will Edge face Randy Orton at Backlash? Edge ended up yelling at him, and Edge ended up saying, yes, I accept the challenge. And pretty much that's basically what happened. Edge ended up dropping the mic, and that was basically that. Orton ended up nodding at Edge, and that was how the segment ended. But this was a really good opening to Monday Night Raw with Edge and Randy Orton. I loved the back and forth between the both of them. But seeing another match with them, I think this should have been just a one-off at WrestleMania. I don't know why we got to see another rematch between Edge and Randy Orton when their WrestleMania match went on for too long. I mean, it just should have been a one-off. It should, their rivalry building toward WrestleMania was good, and we had the WrestleMania match. The match went on for too long. It should have been a one-off right there. But no, we got to get another rematch with them at Backlash. It's not going to be anything different between them in that match at Backlash. So, like I said, I thought it was a really good opening to Monday Night Raw. Like I said, love the back and forth between the both of them, between Edge and Orton. So then after that, we saw Seth Rollins. He was backstage. He was dressed in a suit and tie, a black suit and a black tie. He looked like a guy that he just came out of, Men in Black. So Buddy Murphy ended up approaching him, and he pats him on the back. Seth Rollins ended up looking at Buddy Murphy, and he ended up smiling. And Rollins ended up telling Murphy that he's had a revelation, and he wants to share it with the world. So him and Buddy Murphy they ended up walking off. And I liked what Buddy Murphy was wearing tonight, his attire. It was the Seth Rollins type shirt with the the glasses from like church, which was cool. So I liked Buddy Murphy's attire tonight. And so then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy came out. Tom Phillips and on commentary ended up confirming that we're going to be seeing Buddy Murphy versus Aleister Black later on in the night. So both Rollins and Murphy were in the ring. Rollins got on a mic, and he ended up saying that sometimes in life you have to lose who you are to truly find yourself. He ended up saying that when he lost to Drew McIntyre at Money in the Bank, part of him felt like he lost everything. He ended up saying that he fell into a dark place, one he thought he might never escape. But without darkness, there can be no light. So Rollins ended up saying that he has seen the light, and he's seen it brighter than before. He says, that is all thanks to one man. That man is Rey Mysterio. Rollins ended up saying, what happened to Mysterio has been described by some as heinous, disgusting, unforgettable, and he ended up saying that it has been described by others as an act of penance. So Rollins ended up saying that he doesn't see it that way at all. And he ended up saying that the way he sees it is what happened to Rey Mysterio was unfortunate, but necessary. And he said it was a sacrifice for the greater good. The patriotic moment he needed. And Seth ended up saying that he wants to now speak to Rey Mysterio directly. He ended up saying that he knows Mysterio is at home with his family and that he's healing. He ended up saying that he knows Mysterio can't see it right now, but soon enough he will understand that last week was a blessing in disguise. So Rollins ended up saying that from the bottom of his heart, it doesn't need to be said when they meet again. He then ends up saying, Rey, you're welcome. So then out came Humberto Carrillo. Humberto made his way out, and he was on the mic. He kept saying that no one believes that Seth Rollins is trying to care about Rey Mysterio. Humberto ended up saying that Rey is a hero to millions, and he is his idol. So Humberto ends up saying that all Seth Rollins is a coward. So Humberto ends up coming into the ring. Buddy Murphy gets in front of Rollins, protecting Rollins from Humberto. So Rollins appreciates and respects Humberto coming out to stand up for Rey Mysterio. And he says, but if he's out to fight. So he ends up saying, Buddy Murphy has a match later tonight and is dressed, because Rollins wasn't dressed for, to take on Humberto. So he ended up giving Buddy Murphy a chance to fight Humberto. And pretty much that was basically that. So, looks like, we're going to be seeing Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio soon as Rey makes his return. I think what happened last week when Seth Rollins did to Rey Mysterio, where he ended up putting Mysterio, his eye, in the ring steps, and making his eye bleed. I think that was a way for WWE to take Mysterio off of TV. And who knows when Mysterio will be back. And I heard, from what I heard, Mysterio's contract is going to be up. And who knows if he's going to resign. So I'm hearing reports saying that he didn't resign, and other reports said that he did resign. So who knows? But that's what I believe WWE did. WWE did that last week to Rey, so they could possibly take him off TV, give him a break, or maybe Rey wanted a break. So next was the first match that we saw tonight, and that was Buddy Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo. This was garbage. This was a short match, just a squash match for Humberto. Easy win for Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy won the match. He delivered the Murphy's Law to Humberto. There you go. Buddy Murphy ended up winning. Quick match. It was garbage. It was terrible. Post-match, you had Humberto got attacked by Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy ended up sending Humberto to the floor. And then out came Aleister Black. Aleister Black ended up attacking Buddy Murphy at ringside. Seth Rollins ended up walking to the top of the ramp. And Aleister ended up knocking Buddy Murphy out of the ring. He delivered the Black Mass to Buddy Murphy. And pretty much that was basically what happened. Squash match. And then we saw Corbin, King Corbin. So Corbin was backstage. He was yelling at a staffer backstage because he was bitching about how he doesn't have his own private locker room. Really? You're bitching about not having your own locker room? Really? Really, Corbin? So a referee ended up approaching after Corbin sent for him. So Corbin ended up continuing ranting about how he's not being treated right as the guest at Raw. Corbin ends up talking to the referee about what he's going to do in the match later on tonight against McIntyre. But who gives a shit? I did not give a shit about their match, which was the main event. I actually fell asleep when their match was happening. That's how much I gave a shit about that match. Yeah. Seriously, I fell asleep. So we had that. That was not the last time we saw Corbin. We saw him for this. We saw him for an interview from Charlie Caruso and the match with him and Drew McIntyre. 3 times we saw Corbin tonight. Garbage. So then we saw a pre-recorded message from Liv Morgan. Liv ended up saying that her mom is her hero. She ended up saying that her mom didn't have a good job and she didn't have much of a savings account or, and actually a resume. But she did end up saying that her mom had determination. So she went on and she ended up saying that how her mom never quit and she is her mother's daughter. So Liv ended up mentioning that, she had a match with Charlotte. And she ended up saying, did she win? No. But did she learn? Yes. She ended up saying that she learned. She's just like her mother. And she ended up saying that she's determined she will one day become the Raw Women's Champion. Which I see in Liv's future. I could see Liv as, future Raw Women's Champion. She has gotten progressively better in the ring. But always like Liv Morgan. So hopefully she becomes the Raw Women's Champion really soon. And then we went from that, and we went to WWE's overexposed queen, known as Charlotte Flair. And yes, we've seen Charlotte 3 nights in a week. We saw her on Raw last week. We saw her on NXT last week. We saw her on SmackDown on Friday. And now we gotta see her again. It's like they're punishing us and like, oh yeah, let's put Charlotte this week on Raw. Let's put her this week on NXT. And then, oh yeah, we'll book her for SmackDown. Which, yeah, we gotta see her on SmackDown this week, where she's gonna be facing Bayley. Overexposure on Charlotte Flair. I am sick and tired of seeing her every single week. Stop putting Charlotte every single week on TV. It is downright awful. So Charlotte came out. She got on the mic. She ended up saying that she doesn't want to bore us with how she's the harder worker on all 3 brands. Hardest worker, my ass. She doesn't want to bore. She's boring us every single week she comes out. By WWE's overexposure of her. She ends up saying that she's the face of Raw. Yeah, sure. A mentor in NXT. The only reason why you're in NXT is because you're the NXT Women's Champion. And she says, oh, she's the recent guest on SmackDown. Yeah, you don't need to be on SmackDown. She says she's excited for a champion versus champion match against Bayley this Friday. Oh, great. Are we all looking forward to that? I know you all aren't. Great. So, Charlotte ended up addressing Ruby Riott. She tells her to come out and share what she has to say. So out came Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott made her way down. She came face to face with Charlotte. They stared each other down. And I'm like, all of a sudden, they make Ruby Riott a baby face? Where, Ruby's the baby face here and Charlotte's the heel? I'm like, they just made Ruby Riott a baby face just like that. So the match got underway. Garbage match. Of course, Charlotte had to win. You all think that Charlotte was going to lose this match? Yeah, I just gotta laugh. So yeah, Charlotte won the match. Charlotte was dominating on Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott ended up sending Charlotte into the ring post on the outside. Ruby Riott ended up delivering some shots on the outside to Charlotte. And at the end of the match, Charlotte ended up applying the figure 4, bridged it into the figure 8. Ruby ended up tapping out. There you go. Charlotte ends up winning. Who fucking cares? Who cares? I'm sick of WWE overexposing Charlotte. Oh, because, she's a Flair. She's Ric Flair's daughter. We are sick and tired of seeing her on all 3 shows. Because WWE thinks, Charlotte's going to improve the ratings. Charlotte is not a draw. She is not a draw. She's not going to move the needle. Please, stop with the overexposing on Charlotte. She's not going to get those ratings back up. So, please, enough with the overexposure on Charlotte. Moving on. So then we saw Charlie Caruso. She was backstage with Bobby Lashley. MVP ended up coming over. I'm like, oh great, MVP is still here. MVP interrupts, and he ends up bringing up tonight's match with R-Truth. Bobby Lashley was going to take on R-Truth. And I'm like, once again, we saw this last week. And we saw this at Money in the Bank. What was any different that we saw with both Bobby Lashley and R-Truth that we haven't seen last week and at Money in the Bank? So MVP ended up saying that he and Bobby Lashley won't be doing business together because Lashley is focused on clowns like R-Truth. And MVP went on about how Lashley must be cool with not competing for the title for the WWE Championship in years. And MVP isn't trying to cause trouble between Bobby Lashley and Lana. He says he doesn't even want anything from Bobby Lashley. But he hopes Lashley will think about his future and when he will free himself. And that was basically what MVP had to say. But didn't MVP say this last week? How Lashley didn't compete for the WWE title in years, since 2007. He's basically saying the same shit this week that he said last week. Awful. And so then, after that, we had a look back at last week's basketball game between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, which didn't even give a shit about. And we saw them this week, the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, doing having an axe throwing contest. I'm like, oh great, very entertaining. No, this was god awful. Like the basketball game last week. It's like, what the fuck are they doing with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders? We went from basketball last week. We went to axe throwing tonight. What's next? We're gonna have a jump rope competition to see how many times the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders can jump rope. Is that gonna be next? Are they gonna be playing hockey next? So we saw them, the Viking Raiders. They were throwing axes. A few axes were flying, and then we would see the competition later. Did not give a shit. And so then we went to Asuka's championship win celebration. Kairi Sane was in the ring. Balloons were put everywhere around the ring. Kairi Sane ended up introducing Asuka, her partner. Asuka ends up coming out, getting into the ring. Asuka ends up taking Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane ends up presenting Asuka with a bouquet of flowers. Asuka ends up mentioning Becky Lynch becoming a mother. Oh, here we go again. WWE once again taking a moment with Becky Lynch announcing that she's going to be a mother. It was good news, and then they're just pounding it right into the ground where we're like, oh yeah, she's pregnant, and they gotta be and WWE's got to be shoving it down our throats. So Asuka ended up saying that she's so happy with Becky becoming a mother. Then Kairi Sane ended up showing us how Asuka has been, the NXT Women's Champion, the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion, the SmackDown Women's Champion, the Women's Tag Team Champion with her and Kairi Sane, and now she went to being the Raw Women's Champion. So, of course, Asuka is a Grand Slam champion. So Kairi ended up calling her that. Asuka starts dancing around, with the... Kairi Sane has a flute in her hand. And she's playing the flute, and she got interrupted by Nia Jax. Nia Jax came out to crash the celebration. Nia ended up getting on the mic, and she ended up saying that there's nothing to celebrate because Asuka was handed the title by Becky. She ended up saying Asuka lucked her way into the greatest temp job ever, only because Becky is on maternity leave. She ended up saying soon she will be replaced by someone more worthy, and that is her. That is Nia Jax. And Nia Jax ended up stepping up to Asuka, and she ended up saying, "Look at me, and look at you." So Jax was threatening Asuka. Kairi Sane ended up stepping up to Nia Jax. Nia Jax ended up telling Kairi Sane to chill. And then we see Asuka immediately attacks Nia Jax against the ropes. Asuka ended up doing a hip attack to knock Nia Jax out to the floor. Asuka ended up yelling at Nia Jax from the ring as Nia ended up staring Asuka down. And that was basically that. But very meh celebration. Did not even care. Now, once again, we had Charlie Caruso backstage. We see once again Corbin. Yeah, this is a good Monday Night Raw. This was a good Monday Night Raw tonight, right? Yeah. So Charlie Caruso ended up asking if Corbin has any doubts about his match tonight with McIntyre. Corbin is saying that McIntyre may be WWE Champion, but he is not king. So as Corbin was giving this interview, McIntyre was watching him from backstage. Corbin ended up saying that he's going to take advantage of every mistake McIntyre makes tonight, and then he's going to beat him. Corbin ended up saying that the next time he steps in the ring with McIntyre after tonight will be the main event of WrestleMania. Oh, so pretty much basically Corbin saying, oh, I'm going to be in the main event at next year's WrestleMania. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. He says he will take the WWE Championship. Yeah, we'll see if that happens. I highly doubt that's going to happen. So that was that, but who gives a shit what Corbin had to say? And then we had R-Truth versus Bobby Lashley. What the fuck was so different that we haven't seen the previous times that they had matches? Bobby Lashley just manhandled R-Truth here. Bobby Lashley ended up winning. Before the match got underway, R-Truth was talking about his cousin, Pretty Ricky, telling him about Bobby Lashley being a bad man as of late. So R-Truth was calling out again Tom Brady, saying how, he was talking about, of course, Rob Gronkowski, but he mentions it as Tom Brady. And he said he's coming for the WWE, the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 Championship. Please, retire that belt already. I keep on saying it. Retire that fucking belt. So Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match. Bobby Lashley had delivered the full Nelson Slam to R-Truth. Lashley ended up manhandling Truth with the submission. Truth ended up tapping out. There you go. Bobby Lashley wins. Moving on. Who gives a shit? So MVP was on the stage. He was applauding Bobby Lashley. And then we went backstage. Lana was throwing a tantrum. She was screaming, throwing stuff. I wanted to mute the TV when she was screaming because it was ear-shattering awful. And it was laughable. So that was that. Moving on. Asuka and Kairi Sane, they were backstage. They were still celebrating. Nia Jax was staring both Asuka and Kairi Sane down as Asuka and Kairi Sane went their separate ways. And that was that. Nia Jax was stalking Kairi Sane. So we saw that. Then we had the IIconics versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Women's tag team titles were on the line. What was so different that we didn't see last week with these women? What can I say about this match? It was god awful. It was absolutely terrible. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross win the match by disqualification because Peyton Royce ended up sending Alexa Bliss into the ring post, and she kept on ramming Alexa Bliss into the ring post. The referee was telling Peyton Royce, "Oh, stop it." So Peyton Royce was just ramming Alexa Bliss into the ring post. So the referee ended up calling for the bell. So Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross win by disqualification. They still retain the women's tag team titles. And pretty much that was basically that. Garbage match. What was so different that we didn't see last week with them? So then we saw Kairi Sane. She was backstage. She was just by herself. She was with her flute. She was playing, of course, on the flute. Nia Jax ended up coming from behind. She ended up launching Kairi Sane into a production case. Nia Jax ended up walking off. That was that. So then when Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay were backstage. They were arguing about them losing the match against Alexa and Nikki. Billie Kay ended up saying that Peyton Royce blew their chance to get the titles back. And Billie Kay ended up slapping Peyton. But she then immediately apologized. They both started crying. Like, Billie Kay was like, "I'm sorry, Peyton. I'm sorry, Peyton." And then they were hugging and crying together. I'm like, if that's not a tease for Billie Kay and Peyton Royce on WWE end up breaking up the IIconics, you know it's probably going to be coming. That just set up right there. WWE is possibly setting up for them to break up the IIconics. That was a little seed planted right there. But who knows? I may be wrong on that. But I just found that hilarious. With Billie Kay apologizing to Peyton Royce. "I'm sorry, Peyton. I'm sorry." Oh man, it was hilarious. So then we saw Asuka. She was backstage. Officials were checking on Kairi Sane, who just got attacked by Nia Jax. And Asuka wasn't happy. She was throwing a whole tantrum, screaming in Japanese, as always. So then when Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, Nia Jax was walking. Asuka ended up running up to her. She was yelling and ranting at Nia Jax. With the, "Oh guys," with Asuka. And Nia Jax just kept on walking. Asuka then ended up grabbing Nia Jax by her hair. She ended up dropping Nia Jax. Asuka was yelling at Nia while she was walking away. So what is this? We're going to get a 2-on-1 handicap match where it's going to be Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax. Prepare for Asuka and Kairi Sane to be squashed by Nia Jax if that happens. Absolutely pointless if WWE books a 2-on-1 handicap match with Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax. Then we had Shayna Baszler versus Natalya, submission match. Like I said, what more didn't we see with them, tonight that we didn't see last week, other than it being a submission match? So the match started. Both of them end up locking up. Shayna Baszler ended up taking Natalya down first. Baszler ended up keeping control of the match. Natalya went to go for the sharpshooter, but Shayna Baszler ended up dropping Natalya into an ankle lock. And Shayna Baszler ended up tying up the hole. Natalya ended up kicking free. And then we had Shayna Baszler end up stomping away on Natalya. Natalya ended up finally getting in the sharpshooter on Shayna Baszler. Baszler ended up going for the bottom rope. Natalya ended up dragging her back to the middle of the ring. And, Shayna Baszler ended up getting to the edge of the ring apron. And of course, there's no rope breaks in a submission match. So Shayna ended up getting free. Natalya ended up drop kicking her to the floor. and Natalya end up end up doing a knee bar out of nowhere on Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler ended up grabbing Natalya into the Caruso clutch, and Natalya started to fade as the Caruso clutch was still locked on her, and Natalya ended up tapping out, so Shayna Baszler ended up winning the match. So that was that. Post-match, Natalya was throwing a fit because we saw the ring crew, they were setting up everything for the Kevin Owens show, which was happening next. So they got the special rug in, the stuff that they put in for the Kevin Owens show, and Natalya ended up tearing up the set for the Kevin Owens show because the crew were, setting it up. So she ends up destroying the whole set. So basically that was that. So then we went backstage. So we saw Andrade, Austin Theory, and Angel Garza. All three of them were arguing. Zelina Vega ends up yelling, and she ends up saying to them that she's sick of this. She's sick of seeing the three of them argue. And she ends up saying that they will get on the same page tonight. And she ends up asking Andrade if he understands. He ends up saying that he is the champion. So Garza ends up understanding that. And Austin Theory ends up saying, "Yes, ma'am." And so basically that was that. And then we had the Kevin Owens show. So Kevin Owens ended up, coming back. It was good to see Kevin Owens back. So Kevin Owens made his way down to the ring. Kevin Owens ends up joking that, he's like, "Oh, thanks, Natalya, for, what you did to the set." And Owens ends up talking about being away, following his WrestleMania win over Seth Rollins in that no disqualification match. He says he is back and that he's better and he's ready to go. So he brings out his guests, who were Zelina Vega, Austin Theory, Angel Garza, and Andrade. So they all came out. Owens ended up apologizing for the mess in the ring because of Natalya. So Kevin Owens goes to comment on what he wanted the group, why he wanted the group on the show. So Zelina Vega ended up interrupting. She ended up saying that Kevin Owens was hoping for a Jerry Springer moment with her group. That he was hoping for that. So Zelina ended up saying that she is sick of everyone looking for dysfunction in her group. And she's thinking that her empire is falling apart. And she praises Andrade. She then praises Garza. And she also praises Austin Theory and herself as the best the business has seen in a long time. And she ended up saying that they all came from the streets and they survived. She ended up saying that the streets weren't made for everyone, which is why they made sidewalks for people like Kevin Owens. So Kevin Owens ended up revealing that he has another guest on the show. His other guest was Apollo Crews. So Apollo Crews ended up making his return. Apollo quickly rushed to the ring, and he ended up taking Andrade down. Austin Theory and Angel Garza ended up getting involved, and also Kevin Owens did. And pretty much Monday Night Raw went to commercial after that. So, of course, this is setting up for a tag team match. Typical WWE logic. So then we had Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens versus Andrade and Angel Garza. This was a short match, and Apollo Crews was unloading on Angel Garza. Crews ended up delivering a suplex to Angel Garza. Kevin Owens came in, ended up nailing a senton on Angel Garza. And towards the end of the match, you had Apollo Crews, he was looking to put Angel Garza away. Zelina Vega ended up distracting Apollo Crews from the ring apron. And it led to Austin Theory trying to interfere. And Austin Theory ended up delivering a forearm to Andrade because it looked like Austin Theory was going to take out Apollo Crews with that forearm, and he ended up nailing Andrade. So Apollo Crews then got control of the match, ended up delivering a sit-down powerbomb to Angel Garza, and there you go. Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens end up winning the match. So, post-match, Zelina Vega and, of course, her team were in the ring. Austin Theory ended up saying that, it was an accident for him, delivering the forearm to Andrade. Zelina Vega wasn't so sure about that. So Andrade ended up attacking Theory from behind. Garza ended up coming in, and both him and Andrade ended up double teaming on Austin Theory. So Austin Theory was being beaten up. Theory ended up trying to fight back, but Andrade and Garza ended up keeping control on him. And Zelina Vega ends up saying that she should have never believed in Austin Theory. She ended up smacking him, and Garza and Andrade hold him, and they both end up tossing Austin Theory into chairs. And Andrade ended up throwing another chair at Austin Theory, and pretty much that was basically that. So Austin Theory is kicked out of Zelina Vega's group there. There was talks about about WWE sending Austin Theory back to NXT, which that would have been cool, but something, with Austin Theory else happened tonight, which I will get to. But that was basically that. So then we went back to the axe throwing contest between the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. And the Street Profits didn't look too thrilled. And they watched Eric and Ivar warm up. And we saw them, the Street Profits, they were doing comedy. And Angelo Dawkins ends up telling Montez Ford that this is nothing like Thor. So, pretty much, that was basically, that. Then we had Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy in his second match tonight. And, Aleister Black ended up coming into the ring, starts unloading on Buddy Murphy into the corner. Buddy Murphy ended up decking Aleister Black out of the corner. Austin Theory was shown still down at ringside from him getting beat up by Andrade and Angel Garza. So he was just still there. Seth Rollins was there. He was staring down at Austin Theory. Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black ended up kept on going in the ring. And Then we see Seth Rollins. He ended up offering a hand to Austin Theory. So Seth Rollins ended up helping Austin Theory up. And Austin Theory and Seth Rollins stare at each other. Austin Theory doesn't look so sure of Seth Rollins. So Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy, they were still going at it. Aleister Black ended up nailing a big knee to Buddy Murphy. Black went to go hit the Black Mass to Buddy Murphy, but Rollins ordered him into the ring. So ordered Austin Theory into the ring. So Austin Theory ended up coming into the ring, attacked Aleister Black, and the match ended in a disqualification because of that. So Aleister Black ended up winning by disqualification. So post-match, you had Seth Rollins come to the ring. Seth Rollins was looking on. Aleister Black ended up getting double teamed by Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy ended up delivering a big knee to Aleister Black's face. And Rollins was given commands to Austin Theory. So Austin Theory ended up dropping Aleister Black with the ATL. Seth Rollins ended up walking over to Austin Theory, and he ends up hugging him. So it looks like Rollins has a new disciple in Austin Theory. So Austin Theory went from Zelina Vega's group now to Seth Rollins. And I'm like, so much for WWE saying that he was going back to NXT, which, he was seen, perfect back down there in NXT. But looks like he aligned himself with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. So we'll see how this goes. So then after that, we had a video package on Bianca Belair, which Bianca hasn't been seen in a while. I know she made an appearance last week, with hugging Becky Lynch after the news. Then we had the axe throwing contest. So the Viking Raiders were dominant, and then we had a police cruiser come up, and someone threw a axe through their window. And there was a clip that was there where Montez Ford threw an axe, and the axe just went flying, and we don't know where the axe landed. So, we know where the axe landed now, in that police car, the police cruiser, because Montez Ford looked like he threw the axe through their window. So, police cruisers were, the police, guys were like, oh, who threw this axe through the window? And both the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits were quiet. So Angelo Dawkins ended up hitting the target with his back turned. And pretty much that was basically how it ended, but did not even care for this whole axe throwing contest. I mean, like I said earlier, what's next? It's going to be a jump rope competition or a hockey competition between these guys. What's next? Awful. God awful. So then we had Charlie Caruso. She was backstage with Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews ended up telling Charlie Caruso about losing his spot in Money in the Bank, and how the past 3 weeks have been some of the hardest in his life. He ended up saying that he had to look deep inside of himself, and that he's confident that the final piece to bring everything back together will fall into place soon. So Apollo then made a challenge and said that next week on Monday Night Raw, he is challenging Andrade for the United States Championship. And Apollo Crews ended up saying that it feels good to say that out loud. So Zelina Vega then interrupted. She ended up saying that Apollo Crews has a choice here. Either cut his losses and walk away with his one good knee, or step into the ring with Andrade next week and never walk again. Apollo Crews ended up saying that Andrade better be ready next week. So that was basically that. So we're going to get that next week. Apollo Crews versus Andrade for the United States Championship. Then we had the main event. McIntyre versus Corbin. Like I said, did not even see this match. Fell asleep. Apparently, Drew McIntyre ended up winning. Ended up delivering the Claymore kick. Yeah, I fell asleep. That's how much I gave a shit. So, basically that was that. Drew McIntyre ended up winning. MVP and Bobby Lashley were on the stage watching the match. As I'm looking at the results. So, basically that was that. But that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Absolute garbage of a show. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. And until next video, which will be the AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday. It's going to be the go-home show for Double or Nothing, which is this Saturday. So until then, I'll see you all later.